Yep.
Shooter ready? Stand by.
Shooter ready.
Stand by.
Shooter, are you ready? Stand by. Shooter ready. Stand by.
Shooter ready? Stand by.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shooter Are You Ready podcast. First and foremost, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And bringing back another great guest here for part 2. And yeah, we're just going to get into it. If you heard part 1 with Moishe, we talked for an extended amount of time about many a thing. And I had to say, man, this is an ongoing conversation. We're going to have to part 2 this. So I'm going to bring him right in now for part 2. Moishe, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How's it going, man?
I'm surviving. That's all you can do.
I was thinking about like trying to wear the same exact shirt that I did last time and make it look like we're just like nerds who can talk for like 4 hours about, which we
Yeah, right.
could, right? I mean,
definitely.
If
I didn't have 8 days a week to do things, I would definitely be able to talk forever about certain subjects.
Yep.
But like,
Sure.
I myself amaze myself with how much I do and how little time there actually is in the world, because I do the YouTube videos, I do this podcast, I try to go hang out with Mark Krebs once a week on Saturdays, and I normally get 2 days off if I'm lucky at work. Like this week, I've been working like 16-hour days, and it's just been ridiculous trying to buy a car, and then I still have time to talk to fine gentlemen like you and make things like this happen. So I amaze myself when it comes to time management. I don't sleep, basically, is what I'm trying to say. As I get about 4 or 5 hours a day, and I function.
I hear you.
I drink a lot of C4 energy drinks, stuff that's probably not good for me, but we'll find out years down the road.
We'll know. Eventually, we will know.
Yeah. My co-host Paul is not here. I think he's hungover and sleeping. He was told to be here. He's not, but we're gonna make this happen with you and me, buddy, because we still have a lot to talk about. You're a man of a lot of knowledge when it comes to competitive shooting, and I enjoy it. I think last time we had a very good conversation about a lot of different topics, and we're gonna expand on that today.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I have a couple thoughts, couple notes. Number one is, if you're listening to this, just know that this is also going to be on YouTube, I believe.
Oh yeah,
and
you're doing a
there
better
are
job
gonna
than I
be-
am.
Yeah, there are going to be some visual aspects to what we're going over. We are going to look at some stages, some different matches, some matches, just sort of give some people who have maybe only gone to one AK match but wondered how another AK match might be. We're going to show some stages from some other matches, and some of the topics that we're talking about are sort of best described visually. So, I'd encourage you to at least consider stopping what you're doing right now and pulling up YouTube instead.
There you go.
And watching this on YouTube. So, yeah.
I was upset at first that Paul wasn't here as my co-host, but I think I might have just found a new one. You did a way better job at describing the visual to the audience than I did.
And then the only other thing that I wanted to say is, so where we left off last time, we were talking about, what is your purpose when you're going to a match? And I think what we tried to cover was, if it's your first match or if you're going to have fun, and how to do that, if that's the main goal. And what we're going to talk about today is prepping to do your best. Like, what do I need to do to make sure that maybe it's not I'm winning, but it's how do I actually do my best in the actual competition. But I just want to give a caveat right at the top. This is coming from, I'm an A-class USPSA shooter. I'm not a master. I'm not a grandmaster. If you're either of those things, this is not advice for you. You're just and you know that. You already know that. But I'm not the best. I'm really not. I promise you. I'm just I do well at these competitions, and then I go to a USPSA match and get my ass handed to me, and but I think that there is something to. I think that there's still something to learn from what I've learned, I guess. So.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
always something to learn. There's always something you can pick up from somebody. It's like I think I can't remember who we were just talking to, but somebody I was discussing this with was especially shooting with people around you that are better is always a good thing. It's always a good thing because like I was explaining, if you have a group of 4 friends that you always shoot with and you're the best out of those 4 friends, you're not going to learn anything. You've
Mhm.
already at the bar, you're already there. So I mean, getting advice from all different types of people is always a good thing because there's always something that you can pick up from somebody. Maybe
Mhm.
multiple things.
Yep.
But go ahead if you want to get on your prep list and
Sure.
discuss that. I have to step right over here and shut something off real quick. I'm not shutting this off or nothing. It'll take me 2 seconds. So
Sure.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll get started without you, man. Here we go. This is where I talk bad about Jamie the whole time because he's away. Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Oh, what? Are you talking about me while I was
I
gone?
was talking terrible, terrible things about you as you stepped away. And
I told you 2 seconds. I don't lie.
somehow I seem to have forgotten that you actually, are the person who edits and posts this. So
Oh, there's no editing in the podcast. The
okay.
podcast
Oh,
just
well,
go
there
up
you go.
as is.
Okay.
Unless it's something really bad, unless somebody says something that's going to get either of us in trouble or
Mhm.
but I might still put it up just for the listens and the views.
So the only other caveat that I want to say is that I didn't invent anything that we're going to talk about. And if there's one thing that you can do passively, um, it would be to subscribe to the Steve Anderson podcast. Go to andersonshooting.com. We mentioned that on the last show.
Oh yeah.
Potentially look at taking his mental management class, which helps you deal with, as you become a higher level shooter, it becomes more and more, the mental part of the game becomes more and more important.
Yeah.
So if I'm
100%.
an A-class shooter, I'm at whatever, 76, 77%, something like that. It's like the value of the mental has to be 77% of what I'm working on and what I'm focused on. And
I
obviously
have to
that's
agree with that.
rough and it's going to be a little different for other people, but so there's that. And
I agree with you 100% on the mental game. I'm not trying to cut you off here, but that's that's one thing I'm definitely battling with when it comes to shooting competition. Like for me, I get in my own head very easily and it's hard to get out of it. And I think that's why well, that's I'd say that's 70% of the reason why I shit the bed when I went to Thunder on the Tundra a while ago, because I had like the first stage wasn't my best, then the second stage wasn't my best, and then it was downhill from there. I could not get out of my own head. I couldn't just say, you're done, move on. It was just constantly thinking about what just happened, which
yep.
cost me in the long run.
Yep. So that definitely important, being able to get out of your own head. I'm going to talk about Steve Anderson again. He has a whole podcast about how to put a bad match or a bad stage behind you. You can just go and listen to that and not listen to the two of us. But that, that is a big thing. How do you put it behind you? How do you show up to a match and you're the first person to shoot for the entire day? That just happened to you, right?
Yeah.
That's the worst. It's not the worst for me.
Oh,
It's the
dude.
worst for you, but it's not the worst for me. You know why? Because my last name starts with A. So three times a month, I'm going first.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so how do you simulate that kind of thing? So you go, you shoot, number one, you shoot a lot of local matches. And number two, you volunteer to go first. If you volunteer to go first, then when it counts and you're under the same pressure, you're going to be able to say to yourself, I've done this before. This is nothing new. This is nothing out of the ordinary. This is everything. I've been preparing my whole life for this, and it's not
Yeah.
a thing. It becomes not a thing. So, two simple things, but just getting into prepping to do your best. And I kind of want to just sort of talk about some general concepts, and maybe we'll delve into them a little bit deeper, and we can look at some examples of that. But I think that the absolute lowest hanging fruit on improving a match performance is practicing reducing the time spent not shooting.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, everyone wants to split their gun really fast. They want to shoot really fast, but the idea is how can you move aggressively? How can you make your transitions uh, half a second or a quarter second instead of a full second?
Yeah.
How can you, how literally, like when I'm on a stage and I have to move from a standing position to another standing position, if I don't verbally hear, and it's not loud enough for other people to hear, but if I don't hear a grunt come out of my mouth, I know I am not moving aggressively enough.
Damn. I love it.
I have to, when you go from one spot to another spot, I mean, it has to be explosive movement. Explosive. When you transition from one target to another, it's your eyes go to that target, and we'll talk about being target focused a little bit later, and that gun drives to that target. The gun follows the eyes. And it's, if you can just reduce the time spent not shooting. When we look at some of these matches, the amount of time that we actually have to run might be more than the time that we're spent shooting.
Oh yeah.
So, how aggressively can we do that? How aggressively can we move from point A to point B? And for me, that's a thing. And you'll hear it. Like if you go watch Ben Steger videos and watch him shoot, you'll hear that grunt.
Yeah.
You'll hear that grunt coming in, going out, all of that kind of thing. But that, for me at least, that's a sign. And I'm not grunting. That is an involuntary thing that is, coming out of my mouth. It's like, but I know when I hear that, I'm like, yeah, I'm on it. I'm moving.
Yeah, when I
actually
go
moving.
back and watch a video of myself, I can catch myself yelling at myself like out loud, like move, 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 move. Like come on, come on, come on. And it's like it's like a mental thing, I guess. Not more of a like I know that I need to keep my ass moving, and it's just I have to yell at myself sometimes, like move, move, move. Go, 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 go. And it's just I don't know. It's a good thing to. No wasted moves, I guess, and it's to push yourself. One second here, Moishe. I have a stray cat outside. Oh, here he is. Hello, Paul.
We got to stop talking bad about Paul now.
Moishe, this is our guest, Paul. Paul, welcome to the Midwest Moishe podcast.
Hey, don't ever rely on technology. Let me tell you, because it will let you down. The second you think you have your phone plugged in, is the second that it is not plugged in.
Paul, are you hungover?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I literally just woke up though.
Oh well, I appreciate you not wiping the sleep out of your eyes and making it to the podcast.
The only thing that saved me was I forgot to turn off an alarm that I have set for some work calls that I have in the morning to make sure that I'm done making coffee and I walk into the office. And otherwise, I was just gonna keep on sleeping.
Yeah, I forgot about the time change with our guest here because I was laying in bed in my fudgies, just laying there debating when I'm going to get my day started, and the phone rang, and I did my best answer like you're already awake, hey, what's going on? And he's like, did you mean 8 o'clock your time? And I'm like, it's like, yeah, my bad, dude. So that was when I knew I had to get up and start moving. But Paul, welcome.
Hey, happy to be here.
Oh, dude.
Especially because I've got one of my first USPSA matches that I'm going to be shooting
Oh,
tomorrow.
dude. Awesome.
So
There you go.
That's
this is going to
great.
be a good prep and get ready
Perfect.
for that.
Well, be
Perfect.
mentally prepared. That's where we're
Mentally
at right now.
So we were just talking about just I thought the lowest hanging fruit of anything is just to practice reducing the time spent not shooting.
Yeah.
Is that a hit factor focus? So there's multiple different types of scoring that's out there.
Mhm.
So with hit factor, it's not your time plus your points down. It's actually I don't know the best way to describe it. It's almost like how well you're doing per second that you're
So
out
hit
there.
factor, I'll just how about I describe it? I'll describe hit
Yeah.
factor. So hit factor is points divided by time. So in USPSA, it's going to depend on what division you're shooting. But if you're shooting one of the two most popular divisions, it would be limited optics or carry optics, which is a minor power factor, um, which means your ammo is not like a full power 45 caliber or 38 super or something like that. If you're shooting that, the A zone is worth 5 points. The C zone is worth 3 points. The D zone is worth 1 point. So if you hit two, and you need to have 2 hits on target. So if you have 2 A zone hits, that's 5 plus 5 is 10. And if it took you 2 seconds, that's 10 divided by 2 is a hit would be a hit factor of 5. So you add up all your points that you scored on the stage, subtract all the penalties that you incurred on the stage, and then you divide it by the time. And it is a very, very, very good system. It is. I enjoy it the most, if I'm being honest. Like that is the system that I think makes the most sense. It is difficult to do when you start to get into multi-gun. Um, it's a little bit harder to run a match with hit factor when you're doing multi-gun for a couple reasons. Can be done. USPSA does, I think, do it. Sometimes they do it for their nationals, sometimes they don't. But what it does do is it puts a premium, a little bit more premium on time and a tiny bit less on accuracy. So an A zone hit and a C zone hit might be more what you're looking for rather than if you were shooting IDPA, for example, which if you have a C zone hit, it costs you a second. Here, it doesn't cost you in that same way. It costs you 2 points divided by, the amount of time that you had it. So it puts a little bit more focus on moving quickly, which I do like. I do like that a little bit. I think that and I think it's a little more realistic and more important in in real life, honestly, rather than
Nice.
having anyway. I'm not going to go into all that, but I think that it makes sense. So that's sort of hit factor. I like hit factor a lot. I think hit factor makes a lot of sense. Um, what we're talking about with reducing the time spent not shooting, that's going to apply to any and every type of shooting competition that involves a clock, that involves a time. Um, and really what we're talking about there is the amount of time that you're spent not shooting, um, reducing that time. So running as quickly as you can, making your transitions as quickly as you can become more of a factor than how fast you can actually shoot. The time spent not shooting, reducing that is more important than the time you actually spend shooting. Um, the next thing I wanted to talk about is understanding um, what it means to shoot predictively and understanding the level of confirmation you need for each target. And this is one of the only things that you can't accomplish in dry fire. So if I take my rifle out and I start at 10 yards and I push the button, I hit the timer and I shoot 2 rounds. can, as quickly as I possibly can I hit 2 A zone hits? Now I back up to 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards. Where is it where I can pull the trigger as fast as I possibly can and still have 2 A zone hits, right? So understanding my skill level and my weapon platform and how those two interact, and where is it, it's called doubling. Where is it that I can't double any longer? Instead of, so basically what I'm talking about is I'm talking about having one sight picture, dot is on the target, and I'm pulling the trigger twice as quickly as I can. At what point do I actually need a second sight picture? So at what point is it 30 yards? Is it 40 yards? Is it 50 yards? And it's going to be different depending on which gun I'm shooting. It's going to be different whether I'm shooting a pistol or a rifle. And this is something that when you go out, this is a really, really good thing to understand, and something that you can put into your stage plan. So you know that if you have a 10-yard target, all you need to do is see your dot on that paper and pull the trigger twice.
Yeah.
But what if it's a head box at 20 yards? You might know that that is beyond the limit of seeing one sight picture and pulling the trigger twice. And you know that you have to see that dot on the paper, pull the trigger, see the dot on the paper again, pull the trigger again. And I will build that into my stage plan. So, and we'll talk about sort of building a stage plan, but that will be something that I will subconsciously know before I approach that target. What is it that is, what is the level of confirmation that's needed? Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Yes, 100%.
It does. I try to work through that as well, especially when it comes to rifle. If we're bad breath distance away from the rifle within 7 yards,
Yeah, just
I'm
ball.
and I'm running a red dot. If I see red anywhere on that paper, I don't really have to think about where that's necessarily going too much. That's out there. I kind of also bring a little bit along with this in my thought process, which is calling your misses. So if you know, I'm used to at 20 yards being able to essentially put the dot where I want it to be, pull the trigger twice as fast as I can, and it's going to be on there. But something interrupts me, a bird flies by, somebody coughs in the background, or something like that, and I see that dot lift higher than I'm normally thinking that it should, and that second round breaks when it's going over the target. I'm going to try to get back as fast as I can, drive back down onto that target, and then pull the trigger again, because I know that that second shot wasn't where I wanted it to be. I'm calling the miss even before we get to the end, and hey shooter, are you finished? If you're finished, show clear. I want to know where I missed while I'm still shooting, and if I'm shooting fast enough, then I can make up that miss while I'm still on the clock, especially if the penalties are high. At some place like KCON, where if you have a failure to neutralize, fail, or just a complete miss, and I think the penalties are 30 seconds for that.
It's
Yeah,
not
I think you're right.
generous.
Mhm.
Yeah. If it's a very high penalty, I'm taking the time to make sure that I go back and I clear the stage as best as I can.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's like I actually, well, I'll show you a clip because Tommy was yelling at me. It comes with the wasted move kind of category, as you were talking, making sure you're moving, making sure you're, getting the shots off as fast as possible on your target. But Tommy pointed out to me that I'm very good at wasting moves when I shoot, because I had this little stage here and I can't really fast forward it, but I notice I put the rifle down too much, and I will take 2 steps just to raise the rifle again and shoot. And I don't really notice it as I'm doing it, but it's like right up here. It's like right here. Like the close shots, rifle down, pick it back up, shoot, shoot, rifle down, pick it back up. That's like just stupid wasted moves, like I was saying. And that goes back to, like, at work, we talk about that a lot. Like, if I have the drill in my hand and there's 5 things I need to, take the drill to get the nuts off, do all 5 of them at once. Even if you don't need to do all 5 of those things, following that task, you have the one tool in your hand, do it right there while that way you don't have to pick the drill up later to do, take one nut off. You already have them all off. It's all ready for you. So it's like if I'm already standing there with the rifle, it's just going to cost me time to take 2 steps and pick the rifle back up and pull the trigger. Whereas if I could just shift my body and, keep the rifle up and keep the red dot in my sight, I mean, that could save me anywhere between, half a second to 3 seconds instead of,
Absolutely.
goofing
Absolutely.
off and being like, well, just let me take 2 steps closer and then I'll pick the rifle back up and shoot. And that's something I'm trying to work on more. I just did some drills a few weeks ago with like targets at varying distances, 10, 15, 20, 30, and just stood in one spot, just pivoting my body, trying to lock onto my little 4-inch circle that I had on all of them and shoot everything. Because I don't really, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I'm sure it's other people, but for me, for sure, I don't notice. Like I said, I like to, yes, I make YouTube videos. Yes, I like, I'm a father or child of divorce. I like attention. And it's so I make YouTube videos so people can watch me. But I also am like a football player to where I'll watch those videos and be like, okay, you did this wrong. Okay, you need to fix this. Okay, you need to be better at that. And it's even if I don't know, I guess my best advice to some people, if you want to get better at shooting, and even if you're not making YouTube videos, even if you're embarrassed to put stuff up on Instagram, it's not a bad idea to video yourself or have somebody just video you. Even if you're running 6 stages a day, have somebody take your phone and just video you running one stage just to see what you're doing, just to see where you can pick up, like, I can do this better. Okay, maybe there I should have not, done a Jamie and took 3 steps and picked my rifle back up. Maybe I should have just stayed stationary and shot those 4 targets instead of moving in between them. But it's
Yeah, I think
wasted moves is what I'm going at.
videoing yourself is can be very, very helpful
Oh yeah.
for that.
Because like I said, in the
I
moment,
like
you
to
don't
do
know
it
you're
for
doing
that.
it.
Yeah, I like to do it for that, and then the only other reason is, my girls love to laugh at me when they see me running on a stage. I do. I mean, I look funny. I look funny when I'm running. I'm not the best
Hey,
runner, but
middle-aged
you know,
men running around tactical and shooting targets does not look cool to anybody except for the guys doing it and the people there, Everybody outside the bubble is like, what the hell are these guys doing?
it sort of looks like I'm scampering, I think. I don't know. You'll see some of it when I show it. But hey, can we go back to that video that you just showed? There's another thing in here that I think relates to what we're talking about.
I can't
And
rewind or fast forward, but it'll play on loop.
okay,
But
so
yeah,
one of the things that I'm seeing here is when does it's okay. You may dropping your gun might be one thing, but you might be able to get more movement if you bring your gun in or something like that. The question is when does the gun come back up on target? And one of the things that we're sort of blessed with here in this sport is that we use these walls that are basically transparent.
yeah,
So when I am probably, I would say it's maybe 3 to 4 steps out, my gun is already back up and my red dot is starting to acquire that target. So as soon as it clears that wall, it's pulling that trigger.
yeah. And that's something I
Um,
definitely like. I don't know. I noticed like a half-second stop after I stop walking before the rifle comes up, and that's something definitely that I need to work on
mhm.
myself is just acquiring my target a little bit faster. Like you said, be ready for it even before. I mean, technically, you're ready for it. Have your sight picture ready, have your dot on it, and then, like you said, once you come all across that wall, you should already be firing. Which is, I'll wait till I get across the wall. Okay, I'm on the other side. There's my target. Let me lift this up. Let me shoot. Okay, we're done. And it's
Mhm.
something that comes with time. I guess I got to push myself a little more. But like I said, I get yelled at by Tommy and other people. We just like to talk shit while we're shooting. But Tommy tells me sometimes I run like a grandma because I like shuffle my feet, like you said. And it's just something I need to work on more. Like instead of just going to the range and making stupid videos, I actually need to start, setting up mini stages for myself and moving and working on target acquisition.
Yeah, you can just set up 2 to 3 targets in a wall and you're there.
Yeah.
That's plenty. That's plenty. But I'll show you a video of where I think it's done right. can you switch to mine?
Boom. There we
Yeah,
are.
here we go. Okay, so here's me shooting this stage. If you just watch here.
That's you?
I'm just kidding. That's
I was
Eric
about to say.
Groffel.
I was like,
That
damn.
is this is
5-year-old video?
this is the best practical pistol shooter in the world that we're about ready to see.
Okay, I'll shut
So
up.
this is him at Carry Optics Nationals in Columbus, Ohio, or Marengo, Ohio, this year, where he won, and he had like all alphas for the entire match with maybe 30 Charlies. But if what we're watching for here, number one is watch that there's no wasted movement. There's total aggression in the way that he's moving. And then as well, look at the level of confirmation when he's shooting at targets. Some of them he's shooting very quickly at, and some of them he's taking his time and getting a second sight picture. So here we go. We'll play this here.
Look at him go. I like the foot on the edge. That's pro move there. But yeah, I mean, I know,
Crazy, right?
like you said, I noticed right at the beginning there as he's coming down that first little path, gun's already out, sight picture's there. He probably takes 2, maybe 1.5 steps before he's actually there, but he's seeing it as he's coming up to the target. Like right here, right.
Eyes
He's
are on the
moving.
target, and
Yeah.
he's already bringing his gun up.
Yep, right there. Look, see a
And
couple
right
more
there,
steps.
boom,
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 boom. Yep.
boom, boom.
Yeah, that's definitely
Also,
a
when he gets
step
to
I
this middle
need.
port that we're just coming up to here, he hits this. There's one target behind him. He knows that it's there. Super close in. He just turns around, snakes it, and then moves on. Right there, boom,
Boom.
and then he's
Pro.
on
Mhm.
with it.
That's something I need to work on myself is
Incredible, right? So this is
better
literally
stage
like
prep.
it does not get better than this, than what you're seeing here. This is perfect.
He was like water,
This is
if you
what
will.
I mean. We'll never be at this level. None of us will ever be at this level. I promise you. You know, that's his profession. So
Yeah.
and they do it a little over in Europe. The guys can this is his actual profession. He doesn't do anything else. The top guys in the United States, all of them are doing something else. Even if you look at like a Christian Seiler, you know, or one of these other guys, you know, like Phil, you know, when they may be sponsored shooters, the main thing that they do might be competition, but they have a desk job with a gun manufacturer. You
Yeah.
know, they're doing something. You know, when I need help with my Mark 7 reloading press, you know, it's John Vlieger who's answering me. You know, it's just the way that it is. In Europe, it's different. These guys train 8 to 10 hours a day, and that is their job. The only place that we sort of have that here is like the Army marksman unit. Some of those guys, and it just depends on the year and what they're doing. They sometimes will have that sort of freedom as well. But yeah, so that sort of covers a couple. The first thing, I have a note in here to me that says reloading is not super important, in my opinion, except maybe at the very, very top of the leaderboard. So if you're spending all day figuring out how to turn your reload from, you know, 2 seconds down to a second and a half for something that's going to happen once on every stage,
Yeah.
I think your time is better spent doing something else.
Oh yeah.
That's my opinion. That's my personal opinion.
I know there's people, I mean, I've done it myself where you make videos, look how fast I can reload. It's like, yeah, that's cool. But like you said, you're gonna do it once. And I mean, don't get me wrong, reloading really fast looks cool and it is cool. It's awesome. But like you said, I mean, what benefit does it really come for, you know, or give you, rather than, yeah, cool, you just shaved off a few seconds, but as long as you can reload it without fumbling, You know, as long as you can just do a smooth reload, you're there. There's no reason to
Mhm.
watch me do this really fast. And then you end up fucking yourself. Then you got the magazine in wrong. Then you can't get it out. And then now you're kicking yourself in the ass for trying to look cool in front of everybody when you could have just took your time, clipped it in, locked it, cool, ready to go. Instead of
Yep.
watch me do this, watch me John Wick this bad boy, you know?
Yep.
I think that's a great point where it's reloading accurately.
Yeah.
Your reload is the same every single time, no matter what position you're shooting from.
Yep.
But what we just saw in the clip there, he reloaded on the move.
Yep.
So, hey, if I'm in a shooting position, I should be shooting.
That's right. So
I,
that
I,
goes
I don't
back
need
to
to be doing too many.
reducing the time spent not shooting, right?
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So we're reloading while we're on the move, not when we get to the target or before we leave the target. And also planning your reloads for that time,
Yeah.
so that, I mean, in USPSA, if you're standing and doing a reload, that's terrible.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
terrible.
Like,
There's no recovering from that.
I said I'm not the best at planning out stages. Everybody walks around and air guns the stage before, even though some ROs yell at you and tell you that it's stupid. But it's I even though I have a plan, this we're at the Shooter Are You Ready podcast. This is the whole point of this podcast is everybody has a plan. Well, at least for me, like I said, it's huge mentally. Okay, I'm gonna go here, 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 reload here, finish here. But then once the beep goes off, it's just run and shoot, hurry up, because I totally forgot what I was gonna do. But there's
Mhm.
always, especially in the stages or the events where there's a forced reload, where you have to reload at least, or otherwise you get penalized. There's always a spot where I'm like, okay, after that barrel, you reload. After this shot, you hurry up and reload. There's always that one spot I try to find in every stage where it's okay, from here to here, you have like 2 seconds of movement. That's your reload time because you're already moving. You've shot everything you can from this angle and you have to move over here. So this is the best spot to do it, like you said. So you're not standing there in front of a target, reloading, waiting to do something when you could be shooting. Instead of, you just took 2 seconds running over here, that could have been your reload time. It's
Yep.
you got to pick a good time to reload. There's too
Yep.
many tips here, and I don't follow any of them. You'll see me. I'll probably show you
All
a
right.
video here.
Hold on. I got some coming up. I'll move on to the
Yeah.
next one. You're gonna find yourself in here. This might be it. I don't know.
Oh, great.
Physical shape. Be prepared to walk 5 to 10 miles without it affecting your performance.
Oh, I got a good
Um,
video for this too.
so I mean, when we're shooting a match and we're resetting ourselves and whatever it is, we're literally walking 5 to 10 miles in a day.
Oh, yeah.
Can you do that? And can you do that without having too much pain? How do you manage if you do have pain, if you do have, something that's going on with your body? How do you manage that? Because the worst thing that will do for you is it will destroy your mental preparedness to shoot.
Yeah.
If you are worn out, you are so much more likely to give up,
Yeah.
to throw in the towel, to just say, okay, I just want to get this last stage over with.
Yeah.
But if you can really train yourself to go the distance and prepare yourself for old age and doing that same thing,
Yeah.
just being able to just walk 5 to 10 miles without being worn out, that can help more than anything else.
Yeah. I can't stress it enough. Like, whenever events are coming up, I try to minimally go to the gym like a month before. Like if I know I'm doing a big one like KCON, I mean, a month isn't much time at all. You definitely need more time than that. But at least, I mean, if you're scraping the barrel here and you're just sitting on the couch watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force or something stupid and not getting ready, I go to the gym, I treadmill, I try to jog on it. You have to condition yourself to knowing that you're going to be walking, you're going to be sprinting, and if you don't, and you end up going there, I just ate Pizza Hut last night and this is day one of KCON or something. You're definitely going to feel it. You're going to notice that you just fucked up and you should have done something different for the last month or two. It's
Mhm.
very like, all right, I'm gonna pull this up because like this is just a short little thing we did, me and Tommy and this is just a very small stage, but it's very very physical. Like you just start at one corner, run to the next corner, run, and you're just running back and forth in between shots. Like there was just a couple steel targets down here, set the rifle down, run. And you run all the way to the other side to grab your pistol. And then you shoot that. And then you run all the way back over to get your rifle. And then and it's just back and forth running, because that's basically the design of the stage, is just to get your ass tired to see how good you shoot when you're breathing heavy and you're winded and you're just
When
constantly.
your heart rate's up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, to me, like I said, it's a simple stage. There's a total of 9 targets up there. And it's a good stage because it's a good thing for you to do, is how tired can I get and still function properly and maintain my sight picture and keep my hands steady and do everything I need to do. And it's not like, it's not like a KCON stage where it's a whole jungle gym you have to run through. It's something simple that will still make you wish that you were in better shape.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Paul. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Moishe. Were you going to say something?
Well, the next thing I had on my list was understanding the holds of your rifle.
Oh, dude.
You're dope. Okay. And actually, we can play this over me talking if you want to switch over to my screen here.
First off, I just want to say I want to walk away and cry just looking at this stage setup, because I hate this stage.
I love it.
Dude,
I love
this
it.
thing haunted my dreams.
If you know your holds, it's not a problem. Now, I don't know that you shot this specific one, and you're going to see here. But the idea here is that we are, and I'm going to mute it.
Is this the last year at Piney?
This
a couple years ago?
A couple years ago. This is a team match. This is John and I shooting on a team. He starts. You're shooting one-handed. He's got a tourniquet on his other hand. Not allowed to use it. Has to be tight enough that he has no pulse in his hand.
Jeez.
And he's shooting one-handed, braced off a barricade. He's got to load his gun one-handed. He's now going to come and put a tourniquet on.
Can you pause it for a second?
Yeah. You want to talk about the mustache, don't you?
Yeah, for all you not watching, there's an immaculate mustache on screen.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead and play. I just had to give props to that mustache.
Yes,
John, I love your mustache, buddy.
Such a fabulous mustache.
It is fantastic. Very, very Doc Holliday or Wyatt Earpish, if you will.
He's a firefighter medic, so and again, that's knowing your strengths. So we wanted him to be the one that was actually putting the tourniquet on me while it was on the time. But here we've got, and I'm just going to pause it. You've got lacrosse balls. I think that at this point it was lacrosse balls and not baseballs. But if you don't understand, you have to understand where in this particular match, we were shooting out to 600 yards. So I got to know where my rifle is shooting at 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. But I also have to know where my rifle is shooting at 3 yards.
Yeah.
Because
and that's what killed me, was this stage.
So we're holding over the targets, but John and I, this was the first AK match that we ever did. And one of the things that we did to prep was we went out and we tested our rifle all the way from 3 yards out to 600 yards. So we knew, so on these stages, and we didn't miss a lot on this. You're not going to see a lot of misses through this. We knew, on this shot, I got to hold my reticle, my red dot, 2 inches, 3 inches over the target.
Yeah.
I
give props to you if this was your first AK stage, because that was like my very first match was Thunder. And then I was like, I'm ready for KCON. That's all I hear about Clay talking about. I'm ready for this. I just shot Thunder. Watch out. Here I come. And then first stage was that baseballs. And I'm like, all I've been shooting is 200 because I'm worried about the 600-yard shot. I was like, why is there a baseball 5 yards in front of me?
Right. Yep.
And it was at that moment. Well, it was the next day when we had to shoot that stage again that my buddy Kyle, old Bolts and Holes, was like, what's your height over bore? I was like, what? And he, did the thing. He's like, "Come here," and he took me and my rifle, and he's like, "Put your rifle against this post." I was like, "Okay," and he's like, "Put your finger where your red dot is," and he's like, "Now take your rifle off," and he's like, "You have this much space between where your bore is and your red dot is." He's like, "So if something's very close, you need to damn near aim almost, this high above that baseball because it's not going to be where your dot is." And I was like, "You're telling me this is not like Call of Duty where the dot just hits everything?" And then he was just like, yes. And then that was where I learned the red dot doesn't hit everything where you aim, depending on where you're at and where you're sighted in at. And it sounds stupid, but I didn't know much. And I know a lot more now than I did then. But if anybody's not watching, you have to look up the KCON baseball stage because it is a son of a bitch. This is the one that'll make you question if you're decent at shooting or not. I mean, we're not all Moishe and John where we hit tons of baseballs, but I think
Look,
the ones
hold
I
on
did
a
hit were
second.
pure luck.
Look, no, this is such a simple freaking thing.
Yeah.
We are not, we're not, this is all this is understanding your holds.
Yeah.
This,
Which is
this
very
take,
important.
this takes half an hour to an hour to learn, and it's to learn where your holds are, and that's it. That's not rocket science. I don't honestly, Jamie, this is not something that special, and it's incredibly achievable. But if you don't just take that simple step, you won't be able to do it. And match
Yeah.
directors love to throw in close targets that are going to mess with your understanding of height
Oh,
over
yeah.
bore.
If
They
I was
love
to
to
do it
do that.
again today, I would feel much more confident in it and know that I would do a way better job than I did 3 years ago.
Mhm.
But I'm ready for it now. And it wasn't there last year. I was kind of upset because I was like, I'm gonna fuck these baseballs up this year. And there was none of them. And I was kind of happy and upset, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
I wasn't gonna ask for it. I wasn't gonna be like, "Hey Matt, bring some baseballs out here." I was
Mm.
like, "Well, I guess not this year."
Yeah.
But
I mean,
For
I always liked the baseballs, and I always liked it. It was always, I always felt like it was pretty freaking easy, and it was just because I understood,
yeah.
what it meant, what my holds were. And also the other thing that you need to be able to do with when you're shooting at a target like a baseball is you got to be able to um, take a shot, and the only input into the gun is the pulling of the trigger. Nothing else can move. Um, and that's an important skill to learn too. How do I not impart any other movement into the gun? Um, so if you can do that, and you know where it holds, and you have visual patience, baseballs are no problem.
Yeah.
They just aren't. Um,
for your optic when you were shooting at those baseballs on the video, is it just a dot or do you have any other reference that's going on?
that's a good question. Pretty typically, this is a personal preference thing. It
Oh,
really is. What your reticle is a personal preference. I prefer a single dot. Now I'm shooting a hollow sun 510 there, which is a great optic. I love that optic. I've switched a little bit to trying to use the 512s, which aren't made anymore, just because it's an enclosed red dot.
Oh, I love
And
those.
um, but they do have a 65 MOA circle available. Um, if I'm shooting that dot at on a stage which is beyond um, uh, 200 or 300 yards, I will use the circle. And I use that circle as a reference to where I need to hold.
Oh
Does that
yeah.
make sense?
Yes, definitely.
it does. And the reason I bring it up is because I actually shoot an LPVO, and for the holdovers there, let me bring up my screen here. For the holdovers there, I was really concerned about the baseballs as well. But I am more, um, I was more concerned actually about the 600-yard shots. So having kind of that Christmas tree, and I've got my screen if you want to pull it up here, Jamie.
Do you have to share it?
But I did.
I don't see it.
present.
Somebody's
situation.
lying. I don't know which one of you it is, but somebody is lying. I can tell.
That'll teach him to be late.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, there
but
it
with
is.
an LPVO, I've kind of got the Christmas tree that goes on underneath here.
Are we looking at this in paintbrush?
We are, yeah.
Okay.
Because I want to mark it up.
Okay.
But like this ranging stuff up here doesn't really mean anything to me. I've never used this. Um, even mainly because I'm shooting on ranges that are known distance. Like
Right.
I know that, hey, this target is going to be at or around 100 yards, 200 yards, 300 yards, 400 yards. So it really all comes down to, hey, what do I zero this dot at here? Which is typically going to be 50 for me. I just like a 50 yard zero. I'm shooting 5.56. So a 50-yard zero, whatever that math kind of equates out to, I think 5,200, I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine with. For these baseballs, if I put the baseball right here on this tee, I'm shooting right through the middle of it every single time. And that's just something that when I was out working on my own holdovers, which is I start at 50, okay, I'm going to go confirm at 100, making sure everything is as I'm expecting it to, but then I'm going to walk it in from 50. Okay, what's the difference when I go from 50 to 25? What's the difference when I go from 25 to 15? What's the difference when I go from 15 to 7? And then even closer in than that. There are some matches that I've shot where targets are literally, you can stick the muzzle practically onto the target, and then they hit it that way. The other, and I hope that it's still here, the other thing that I really like to shoot is the Vortex UH1, the Huey Gen 2. I have this on a ton of rifles, and I really, really like it. But this is the same thing. I have no clue what their expectations are for you for this ring. It's
You
I
got to
don't
read the
think it's for
manual, Paul.
windage, I guess. But I came here to lead, not to read. And there's definitely something that they want you to do with these. I don't use it so much as I do for maybe some target confirmation, sucks my eye in a little bit more. I zero the same thing, but then this down here, when I zero my dot at 50, then this chevron that's down at the bottom of my sight, when that gets up close, that turns into my hold for 7 yards, 15 yards and in.
Yeah.
So for the baseballs, it's not quite right on this chevron, but it's like right here if I can bounce the baseball on top of it. So there is I was talking to John at Mitten State, and he's got like a crazy zero where he was talking about
Mhm,
like he
mhm.
zeroed his rifle, and then at like 50 yards, he has to be like a full target below, and like the zero only works for him. And I think that that's really impressive. That's not, I like to shoot. If I'm going to be engaging a target, I want to have to hold high rather than beneath the target. It's just the way that my brain works. But
I
I think that
agree.
goes back to what we were talking about previously, where, hey, reticle is up to your decision, and then kind of the hold that you have, as long as you know what it is also going to be kind of up to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
User preference. You could
Yes.
zero at 3 yards as long as you know your holds. I don't think it matters. It's it's your optic, it's your preference, whatever you want to do. Because there's the ongoing argument of what do you sight in at certain calibers, and then there's the 50. Oh no, 25. Oh no, you do what is it, 27 or 35, and it's like whatever works for you, dude. As long as you know where the hell that thing's going, it doesn't really matter. Everybody has their own opinion on that.
Where do you typically zero at, Moishe, for rifle and pistol,
Uh,
distance wise?
it depends on the caliber.
Yep.
So if it's 5.56, the 5200 makes the most sense to me. And by the way, I think John's is a 5200 also with 5.56. The
Okay.
crazy one that he has is for 7.62 by 39, which I think is something like a 17300 or something like that. But a 5200 I think works amazingly well. I know with a 50 to 200, if it's a C zone target, let's say, with a C zone target, anything from 25 out to 300, I can pretty much hold dead center, and it's going to hit.
Hmm.
it's almost like I don't have to do anything. If it's something if it's a small target at 100, I got to hold a couple inches low. That's the only
Yeah, that
thing that I'll sort of run into.
the 5200 for 5.56 is, I don't know. I just did that actually yesterday with that WBP. I put the EO Tech on there, and I did 50, and I think it was like a thumb-sized little circle on this shoot and see target, and I was in that area, on it, like in 2 shots, just off with 1 shot, which was probably me. But then 200-yard range, I took the steel target, like what is this? I'm looking at it across the room. It's like a 12 by 14, 16-inch like silhouette, and I was dead center 200 on that thing. So I'm happy with that. And that was, like you said, the EOTech with the circle, where Paul was mentioning at the bottom, is like your 7-yard shot. And that's almost like the same, like you were saying, the enclosed hollow sun, the 512s. Have you seen have you tried a gold one?
The gold dot?
Yeah.
I have not. No.
Oh, dude.
You like it?
I love it. The gold dot, I have sold it to my buddy Jeff. Loved it so much. Paul, what's he on? 2 or 3 of those now?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then doesn't Tommy have one too?
I think Tommy's got one. The gold dot, I don't know what it is. I'm a fan of any dot that's not red. I don't know why, but like I like green dots a lot better. The gold dot is just amazing to me. So if you're in the market for a new one, you get go to Euro Optic. I'm not shelling or sponsored or anything, but that's just, I always find optics stupid cheap there. A lot of stuff's always cheap there.
Yeah, they have good pricing, quick shipping.
Oh yeah, it's amazing shipping.
I like Euro Optic a lot. They're in Pennsylvania, actually.
So but yeah, I think every time I try to find something, it's usually I can find it there, and it's about $50 cheaper than everybody else is trying to sell it at least. And I love it because, like you said, I order it Monday, and that thing's in my mail depending on the time I ordered it Monday. If I order it first thing in the morning, I'll get it Thursday, Wednesday night if I'm very lucky.
Yep.
But the fantastic place to buy optics. Don't go to Optics Planet. They're garbage.
If you switch to my screen real quick, you can see this is my ideal optic setup for any match that's inside of 600 yards. Okay, so we've got Holosun 512, Holosun 3x magnifier,
what do you
and
have
an
on the offset there?
Seymour red dot.
Nice. I need to get a better offset on mine. I don't like mine.
The offset is, I would describe that as a luxury. If you're shooting a red dot on the top, you don't really need it. It's going to come in handy on 3 to 5 stages a year with the full match schedule. It's rare that I ever use it, but when I do have it, I do. It's nice to have, but it's not, you don't have to have it if you have a red dot on top. If you're running an LVPO, I would always recommend having
I have an offset on I mean, it's not you're probably going to make fun of me for this. I have an offset on this one, right? Is that the one I'm pointing at? Yeah, the Arsenal SLR 107 up here. And it let me see here. This, the one at the very top. But that has a 2X primary arms on it, which, let's be honest, it's not a ridiculous amount of magnification. But it's, now where am I going here? Everybody's looking weird. It's enough to where it drives me nuts if I'm trying to shoot something close. And that's why I have the offset, because I'm just, if something's right in front of me and I have to look at it twice as big, I can't, it just, because then all you're seeing is cardboard at that point, and I don't necessarily know where on the cardboard I'm aiming. I just know everything in my sight is brown. So I just like to be able to just kick it a little bit and say, sorry. Oh, there it is. It's right there. So that's the only reason I run the offset. And like you said, it's depending on the stages. Like at KCON, I don't think there might be like one stage maybe at KCON you would use it, but I'm thinking back at last year, and I think I wouldn't have used it at all, basically. Maybe one stage, maybe half of a stage I would have used it.
There's 2 times that I'll use an offset red dot, assuming I have a red dot on top. Number one is if I'm using the top mounted dot in combination with the magnifier, and it's going to be quicker rather than flipping the magnifier to go just to the side. That's one. And the only other is if I have a hard lean to the right on a stage, then it's easier to get to that. It's easier. That's an easier position to shoot that 45-degree angle dot. Hey, yeah,
Yeah, but go ahead.
you go. You go, man.
You were just talking about leaning to the right. I just had a quick question for you. How good are you at shooting offhanded? Like, because I know there's some stages where they try to purposely fluster you by saying, this is left of this wall, but you're only allowed to use left hand to shoot this. This side of the wall, right side targets, right hand shoot. And
Well, I'll tell you a little secret about what a cheater I am.
Okay.
I am left-handed, but I shoot right-handed.
An
So
ambidextrous shooter.
I shoot right-handed because I'm right-eye dominant. When I discovered I was right-eye dominant a few years ago, I switched to shooting right-handed because it just was going to be easier and made more sense and was going to make my life easier. So I switched to shooting right-handed. But in earlier days, I shot left-handed. So it's still super awkward for me to shoot left-handed, believe it or not. But I don't think it's as awkward as it is for other people.
Oh yeah.
And it's something that I don't practice it that much, but I understand it. I feel like I understand it a little bit better. And I think that I'm a little bit better equipped just because I've shot both handed. So it is a little easier for me.
I'm going to throw that out for advice to anybody listening who does not shoot offhanded. Do it, because it's going to happen to you in a stage somewhere, and you're going to be flustered like I was when they were like, everything, like I said, on this side of the wall, left-handed. I'm like, I've never even tried this.
Yep.
I've never even practiced shooting offhand. I didn't think this was going to ever be a problem, but it's
not
a good
something you need to spend a ton of time on.
Yeah, no, it's just something I think you should
spend some. You
yeah,
should.
I think you
There's
should
no
at least do it before it gets thrown at you on a stage, just so you know, like, okay, because you're not gonna know how to hold the rifle. You're gonna feel weird because you've never done it before. It's something you should at least, I'm not saying start high diving in the Olympics, but you should at least go off a diving board once just to see what it feels like.
Yep.
That's how I'll put it.
The a little hint for if you're shooting opposite handed, the way we should be talking about it is weak handed.
Yeah.
If you're shooting weak handed pistol, chances are you're going to have a hard time finding your dot, and it's going to be bouncing all over the place. When that happens, you're probably gripping it too hard. Loosen your grip a little bit and see if the dot settles down. That works for me and for some other people too.
Good tip.
But give that a try.
We were at Tommy's, like I said, we were my buddy Tommy's birthday, and we set up a little stage behind his backyard, and everybody was a little upset with me because we had these two close targets. And I was like, what are we going to do with these close targets? Like, just run by them and shoot them real quick. And I was like, nah. I was like, offhand, one hand, pistol shoot, everybody, 4-inch, circle on there. And everybody's like, seriously? It's like, yep, you only get one shot too. You get one shot to make it on each target. And I don't think there was very many people who were able to do that well. It was more of a, this is just going to fluster you target than actually hope you were going to shoot it. But it was a fun one just to, kind of throw a wrench in everybody's gears.
All right, let me move on to a couple other things just because
we keep talking. Yeah.
We're like a third of the way through what I have on my list.
I'm already getting ready for part 3 with Moishe.
So the next thing I had on my list was learning to be target focused. That's just something for people to Google and start to understand what that means. But really what it means is are my eyes focused on the dot or my iron sights, or are my eyes focused on the actual target? And are they focused on a spot on the target? And one of the ways that you can train yourself to do that is by using what we call an occluded dot, which really just means throw a piece of painter tape or electrical tape over the front of your dot and shoot like the tape isn't even there. And you'll see how your eyes work together, and it helps you develop your actual target focus. And to me, that helps with two different things. Number one, it's going to help with transitions. So your eyes go to the target, and then your gun and your dot follow your eyes. It also helps you with what's next on my list, which is learning to call your shots. And if you're focused on your target, you can see the dot. You can see where your dot is on the actual target. And what learning to call your shots is not about seeing the hole in the target. It's about understanding and seeing, recognizing, visually and mentally processing where was my dot on the target in relation to the target when the sight started lifting in recoil. If you want to think about it simply, where was my dot on the target when my gun went off?
Yeah.
If I can see that my target, my dot was on that target, I don't have to see a hole. I know that I made that shot. And if I also see, if I have questions about that, if I'm like, oh, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, then it's time for a quick makeup shot in most cases. And you can do that. If you learn to call your shots, you can do that very, very quickly. So that's another skill I think that makes a lot of sense. Paul, to what you were saying, next thing on my list is just shooting as many matches as you can.
Yeah.
It'll help you vet your equipment, and it'll help you learn how to compete, which is in itself a skill. That's just a skill in and of itself. It's being an actual competitor and caring about being a competitor. That's sort of the reason that I tend to beat John when we go to matches.
Get
Like,
out of here.
like our skills are equal. He has the same skill as me. It's just for me, I think my skill as a competitor is a little bit higher than his. And part of that is just the number of matches that I'm shooting,
Yeah.
compared to him. That I'm case gauging my pistol ammo and he's not, because I care, just a little bit extra. But I have learned how to be a competitor, and that there is an edge in that. USPSA and rifle stuff, I think both of those are important. It helps you get the skills, and it helps you vet the equipment that you're going to shoot. I mean, I just learned a valuable lesson. I just switched the rifle that I'm going to be shooting at KCON, and I realized the magazine configuration that I have is not going to work with the rifle that I have. And I wouldn't have learned that otherwise. I would have just showed up at KCON with this stupid magazine, and it wasn't going to work.
That would have been embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe you just took shots at John like that. I hope he doesn't
Yeah.
listen. John,
Well,
I
if
still
he's
think you're
listening,
amazing.
you will hear what I said, which is we are equal skill level.
Yeah.
We
But
are.
John, I still think you're amazing. Especially if you're ROing a stage. Just remember that
Yeah.
I said you were amazing. And don't count those
we're the
negatives
same
against me.
skill level. It's just he doesn't care about winning as much as
You're
I
a little
care
more
about
obsessed. Yeah.
and he'll tell you that same thing. He'll tell you that same. He'd be happy.
He
to
doesn't
tell you
hate
that
to
same
lose as
exact
much as
thing.
you do. That's what it is.
I don't mind losing. I just want to do my best.
Oh, not
That's
me, dude.
it.
I hate to lose. I don't care if I win. I just don't want to lose. That's how I see it.
No, I'm with Moishe on this one, where it is if you set out goals before the match and you achieve those goals, I don't count that as a loss, no matter where I arrive at the
No.
leaderboard. I mean, tomorrow I'm shooting an open division in USPSA just because I want to shoot my new handgun that has all the bells and whistles that is associated with it.
Oh, you
I
taking the
don't
Beretta?
believe I am. I don't believe that I'm going to go out there and win an open division match or even place within the top 5. The squad that I'm looking at it right now on practice court. There's a lot of master level shooters that are out there that are shooting in a similar division than I am. Not exactly open. I think
Mhm.
I'm one of like 3 open shooters tomorrow. But my goals for tomorrow, which I'm still working on, I have the concept of a goal, but a lot of them are going to be focused more on how do I shoot clean, how do I make sure that my movement is aggressive enough to to set me up in a position where I can succeed, where I'm not either being unsafe, which I have no anticipation that I'm going to be, but those are the things that I am more focused on about tomorrow rather than where am I going to arrive at on a leaderboard.
So you actually just skip to the next 2 things that, excuse me, are on my list. Rather than thinking about how well you finish, set a goal that you can 100% achieve.
Hmm.
Okay. And yours were unbelievable examples. For me, it might be I want to see my sight on the target every time I shoot. I want to, that might be it. I might want to say, I want to be disciplined and I want to get the right amount of repetitions of my stage plan. And I'm going to commit to doing that 10 times. And if I finish the match and I've achieved the goals that are 100% achievable, that I have 100% control over,
Hmm.
right? Because I don't have control over who shows up to the match.
Yeah.
So I can't necessarily, if I'm not Eric Graffel, I can't say that any match I show up to, I'm going to win. It's largely dependent on who actually shows up.
Oh yeah.
So if I can just focus on goals that I can achieve and achieve those goals, number one, I can be satisfied in that has its own satisfaction. But I'm also going to do as well as I want to do in that match.
One of the big things for me tomorrow is going to be stage planning and stage walkthrough. I think that's an area that I know how to do, but I don't do it well. So
All
doing
right,
it
great.
multiple times,
I
seeing the
got a thing for
visualization
you.
that's out there. It, I'm trying to segue this as best as I can,
Perfect.
but that is, I think, where I am going to find the most success. Not
Mhm,
so much
mhm.
trying to do, okay, well, I can do 3 different things here. Um, I'll know what I need to do when I'm on the clock. That's it's too late for that to happen at that point in time. I want to walk through it, and one thing that I'm trying to focus on is walk through at speed. Jamie and I shot a match not that long ago where that's what I was trying to do when everybody had kind of stepped back. Okay, I'm actually going to try to run this as physically close to the speed that I want to shoot at. So then I kind of get a visualization for what that looks like while I'm hustling, and I was able to do that a couple of times. Um, I probably wouldn't have done that if I was the first person up to shoot, but I was really low in the shooting order. But running through a 45-second stage, at a elevated pace isn't something that is necessarily going to wipe me out. But that was one area that I'm trying to focus on for tomorrow. Uh, there's a lot of people that are going to be out there shooting, whether or not I get to kind of do it at pace. I still at least want to get through physically walking it more than 3 times, and then hopefully I'll be able to visualize it as other people are shooting
Yeah.
as many times as I possibly can.
So the reality is you can visualize it at pace. And to me, that's the most important thing. There are times when I will get to a stage and I'll look at it and I'm not sure how it's going to feel to move from this position to this position at speed. And so I'll do it then. Um, I might just, it's just one part of the movement that I actually want to actually physically practice at speed. And I'll do that. The rest of it is sort of in my mind, but this sort of gets into, so I kind of had this subdivided into 3 sections, and I think we made it through the first 2, which was have fun and how to have fun at a match, and number 2 is how to do your best, and then this would be sort of higher level. Where do you go from there? And the first thing that I have on my list, and sort of what you're talking about, is master and understand the things that need to be subconscious, and so that uh, when you're under the clock and that timer goes off, there's only your mind can only do one thing well at a time. If you're trying to do more than one thing well, your mind is going to do 2 things or 3 things, whatever those are, sort of well, or maybe not well at all.
Yeah, right.
So if I go up to that, so number 1, I have to understand what needs to be subconscious, and then we'll talk about how do we make that subconscious. So when I approach a stage, the first thing that I do, and we've got about 4, let's say we have 4 minutes to look at that stage. That's if you don't get to the match an hour early and walk stages, which if I care about a match, you better believe I'm there an hour early and I'm walking stages, and I'm at least getting my strategizing done at that time, so I have it mostly worked out. And I will primarily focus on maybe the 1 or 2 stages where I really need to develop a solid strategy, and it's not just about memorizing the way that things are going to get done. It might be a memory stage, or it might be something that's a little bit more complicated. But so the first thing I'm doing, I'm strategizing. I'm going to identify what the actual targets are. Are there any hidden targets? How many targets does the stage brief say it is? Do I actually see all of those targets? What does the match director want me to see, and what don't they want me to see? I see that it looks like they built me through 4 positions to shoot from. Maybe I don't need to shoot from all 4 of those positions. Maybe these other targets can get shot from here or here. What is my movement going to feel like? Are there any areas where I'm risking breaking the 180, especially if I'm working with a rifle? Am I gonna, does that have to change how I have to look at it? What targets are going to require a higher level of confirmation versus a lower level? So once I've done that strategy and I understand exactly how I'm going to shoot that plan, the next part of it, I'm going to do a couple walkthroughs in the Congo line, we call it, where you're walking behind someone, and that's a little tough because it gets backed up. You might not be able to make it through, a number of times, but what you do have is you've got your mind, right? So I'll take a step back, and with that stage plan that I've now successfully strategized, now I'm going to memorize it and I'm going to visualize it. And it takes a certain amount of repetitions that I close my eyes and I run through the stage, and I'm looking for, there's a certain amount of information that I'm putting into that memorization. I'm going to memorize whether it's a partial target. Is there hard cover? Is it a no shoot? How quickly am I going to pull the trigger on this target or that target? But I'm also trying to be careful not to put too much information into my stage plan. I'm going to take 4 steps before I get to this position. No, I'm not putting that in. I'm going to make sure that my gun stays up. No, I'm not putting that into that's not part of my stage plan. I'm going to, by the time I get to this position, my gun's going to be here. That's not in my stage plan. So it's identifying what actually needs to be in your stage plan and then memorizing and visualizing that. And it literally takes running through it 20 times in my mind. Jamie's wondering why. He was wondering why I didn't say much when we were, walking at.
Oh no, you didn't say it. You were in the zone. I let you be.
Right,
I said like 1 or 2 things to you, and you were just eyeing shit down. I was like, oh, he's locked in. It's like, okay.
Right.
And I thought we were here to have fun.
Right. So it's like there's a balance there. So, and for me, it's a balance, it's a balance of having fun, but also this is fun for me, honestly. That whole memorization part, there is a part of that that I do enjoy, and I do enjoy doing well, and so that's part of it, and for sure my socialization at a match suffers as a result of that, and that's okay. And but I
So I said
don't
it's so
walk away
amazing that
with as
you.
many friends as everyone else, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's so amazing that
Um,
we've talked so much with you, and then I probably got like a whole sentence out of you, and I think that was when John had to like coach you into saying something to me, and I was
right,
like, man,
right,
this guy doesn't like me at all. He's serious.
right. Um, so, and then it's really important also that you don't change your stage plan. So you've gone back and you've memorized it. You've decided
Yeah.
what you're going
See.
to do. Someone steps up and they have a better stage plan
Yep.
than you.
Yep.
Okay.
I've had that happen all the time. Yeah.
Don't
It's
change your plan.
yeah, because
Don't do
I
it.
where was
If
it? It was
you
just
are
the
going to
last
do
thing I
it,
was at. Tommy
there's a
was
rule where
oh,
if it's that good and you have to change, you have to let's say that I have at that point I've got 10 repetitions that I've gone through in my mind.
right.
Okay, I've got to do the proper number of repetitions plus twice the number of improper repetitions on top of it. So now if I want to reprogram a stage plan in my subconscious, I've got to go through 40 times
Moishe's
instead of
over
that
there like
regular
Doctor
20.
Strange when it comes to running a stage. He's like ran through 20 different ways to do it in his mind, and he's gonna do like the best one
Mm.
is the best. But yeah, like you say, don't let nobody change your plan. If you've walked it through a few times and you're like, this is how I'm doing it, like that first stage I showed you where it was like running in a big horseshoe, and then you had to run back and get your pistol and do it all over again. There was,
Mhm.
I think, I don't know, Paul, how many people were on our squad that day? 9, maybe 9 people in the squad, and I think that
Mhm.
stage was run 5 different ways between 9 people, where I was just like, no, I'm just gonna do a loop, come back, do another loop, and like there was some people like, I'm gonna start here, run over here, run this way, drop my rifle, get my pistol, and I was like, no, because Tommy tried that. Oh, if you do it like this, Jamie, I was like, no, no, I already made up my mind how I'm doing it. That's how I'm doing it. Don't try to change my mind now. I'm locked in. You know, I like Moishe. I ran it by the best 20 scenarios to run this stage, and this is how Jamie's going to do it. So
Mhm.
commit. Yeah, like
Yep.
that's a huge piece of information, honestly. I'm going to keep talking. But yeah, like if you walk a stage down and you have a game plan, don't let nobody tell you do it this way. Yes, they might be right in the end. Yes, they might have went 5 seconds faster than you, but that's not something you want to try to rehash last minute right before, the bell rings. Is, well, maybe he's
Yeah,
right. Maybe I
no,
should do it that way.
definitely not
No,
at that
commit.
time.
Commit to what you planned on doing and run it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Um, and then what that manifests itself in is that if I just have a focus phrase, which for me, it's I'm going to see my dot, call the shot. That's it. That's all I have to focus on. See the
Yep.
dot, call the shot. Everything else is automatic. And it actually works. It actually works. Now, and this is you were talking about how you named the podcast "Shooter Are You Ready?" because once you hear once you hear that, or you hear the timer, everything goes out of your brain.
Yeah.
Well, if you've solidified it into your brain, it will not. The other thing is
I'm not
that
there yet.
is under you probably never tried to memorize at the level that I'm talking about.
Probably not.
So, and that really is what it takes. Now, you can if I was to go to a match and I was going to say, okay, I'm only going to do 5 mental repetitions. I'm going to plan it and then I'm only going to do 5 mental repetitions. I'm still going to do well, but I'm going to make some mistakes. And maybe that's okay too. For that's your level of commitment is I'm going to do 5 or 10 repetitions. And I will miss a target. I'll miss a piece of steel. I'll have a complete miss somewhere in the match.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe that's okay. That's that again, you have to decide what you're there for. So and a lot of times I am doing that. I'm only if I'm not super concerned or I want to socialize a little bit more or whatever, maybe I might give up a little bit more. It is harder for me to travel 8 hours and not do my best.
Yeah.
And if I know that doing my best means that I have to spend some time memorizing and visualizing, then that's what I'm going to do.
I just know if I see you at a competition, I'm not going to talk to you unless it's a lunch break or if it's like
Stop
the
it.
end of the day.
Stop
Like
it.
the guy's locked in. I can't
No,
bother him.
I'm sort of a socially awkward guy to begin with, but it's not. Sometimes I would prefer to be socializing, and not. It's not. I I never want to be that person, and I would rather be there. And especially at this point, like I feel like I've done enough with my quote unquote 3 to 4 year career as
Is
an
that right?
AK match shooter. I've done enough that I think that going forward, I'm probably going to be a little bit less competitive than and I already have been. I already am now. I am less competitive than I was when I began. So it's not going to be, I don't foresee that I'm going to be spending as much time competing. Let me just put it that way. And part of that also is just like at the most important match for me of the year, the two most important matches, which is the two KCON matches, I'm going to be an RO. It's
Wow.
virtually impossible to be an RO and be competitive. Your match performance is degraded by somewhere between 10 to 20% just by being an RO. And again, so I've given that up. So I'm giving up a large part, my ability to do my best, because there's something else that I found that's more important than that, especially at that match. And a group of guys that I really enjoy being around and being a part of it on that level. So yeah, I guess all that to say, don't ignore me.
Yeah. I'm I'm just
I
I'm just
wanna
gonna let you
talk.
do your thing, man.
I
I mean,
wanna
I'm probably
No,
too
no,
much
you
of a
don't have to
social
worry
butterfly.
about, and I wouldn't worry about that with anyone. If you see someone with a jersey on, don't you don't have to ignore them because they're trying to do their best. If they want you to go away, they'll tell you to go away, and then you can tell them to fuck off. But, I mean,
I
it should never be like that, it
yeah.
just shouldn't. Um, but I did wanna talk about the make ready.
Okay.
And what I'm doing once the RO says make ready, because Jamie, I thought you might be able to benefit from this a little bit. But when that RO says make ready, for me, I'm going to do a couple things. Number one, I'm going to start to feel where my body is in that moment. Is my heart rate up? Am I starting to get nervous? Am I starting to, what is that? How do I feel? How does my body feel? So if I'm feeling more nervous, I might try to tell myself that it's not nerves. I am on the tip of the razor, and
Ooh.
that is my body ready to do something. And I'm going to reprogram my mind to say, "Oh, I'm not nervous. I'm fucking ready."
I'm
You
amped.
know,
I'm pumped up.
okay, I'm amped, I'm pumped up, I'm ready for this. This is the time. Okay, so I'm going to do that with myself. The other thing is, and you might see that my make ready is longer than a lot of people's, and that comes out of USPSA. Paul, you're going to see this tomorrow. You'll see people with long make readies. I will do my last visualization of the entire stage plan after the RO says make ready. So I will run through it visually in my mind one last time, if not twice. If I run through it one last time and it doesn't go the way that I wanted it to, I'm going to do it again. But there is no timer when after the RO says make ready. That is your time as a competitor. You can take whatever time you want. If it got to the 5 minute mark, the RO might say something. If the RO, you might be taking longer than other people, and he might say, "Hey, do you know the start position?" Or he might try and encourage you to,
Yeah.
or he might not understand what you're doing. He might, but Sometimes what I'll do is I'll try and make it clear that I am not ready yet. Like I won't insert a magazine in my gun until I'm ready. I won't enter the start position, the actual start position. I won't, whatever it is that I do to try and indicate to the RO that no, I'm not actually ready yet. So I think that's a good and you just take your time. And if your heart rate is too elevated, if you're too nervous and you can't reprogram, just wait. Give yourself the time to calm down.
I always try to do just like a big deep breath, and then I just kind of shake it off. That's my make ready. Shooter, are you ready? Or just, just try to shake off all the nerves. And sometimes I feel like it helps just to try to clear your mind. One good deep breath, just all right, this is it. But I probably should definitely take a little bit more time, because sometimes I just, like you said, I just feel like, okay, it's time to go. Where no, this is, like you said, your time. Relax, get ready, make sure you're ready. Don't just jump into it and be like, yeah, I guess here we go. I should probably do that a little more. Take myself a little 10 more seconds just to mentally get ready.
At a like KCON style environment, one thing that I like to do is I will actually say out loud what I'm going to do. And in a lot of cases, the RO will say, well, actually, you're supposed to come around this side of the van, or you're supposed to go around that side of the van. And kind of point out where they say, hey, do you have any questions? I'll go, all right, well, I'm running here, then I'm going over here, I'm dumping my pistol in this box, then I'm back around the van on this side. Oh, you're actually supposed to go on the opposite side for this. So I get that final confirmation that, especially if I haven't shot, like I'm low in the shooting order. If I haven't been shooting in a little while, I like to just reconfirm that what I heard in the stage brief, number one, was correct. Because I've shot matches where I've watched everybody go through and they all get a procedural because they were wrong. Like the 5 people in front of me all did the same thing because they saw the person in front of them do it, but it was a procedural because they weren't supposed to go this direction. They weren't supposed to, pick this up at this point in time. So I like to get that reconfirmation about, okay, this is what my plan is. Is there anything that's wrong with this? Now, I don't think you could do that necessarily at like a USPSA environment, but at something like a KCON, where it is a very complex stage and there's a lot going on, I just like to kind of recenter. This is what I am going to do. I say it out loud. If I am kind of speaking out loud, I tend to remember it better. And
Oh yeah.
it's the last thing I do before I start shooting is walk through my stage plan one last time for confirmation.
Yeah,
Solid.
that's great.
Moishe, I know I'm looking at the list here. We're at the 30. We got 30 minutes, and I really I'm sorry, but I gotta hustle in 30 minutes.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm just
all right.
fair
So
warning.
you want to, what should we go on? Let's go on.
Whatever you want to do. You're the guest, man. It's your
Okay.
stage.
All right. Higher level things. Join Practical Shooting Training Group, PTSG. Follow all those guys on the social medias. Ben Steger, Matt Pranka, all those guys. Take a class, take notes on your shooting, what works.
Yeah.
Take a mental management class with Steve Anderson.
Oh, Steve Anderson, huh?
Yeah, Steve Anderson.
I think I've heard his name already.
It could turn into a drinking game at this point. I think that's it in terms of actually shooting. I think the other thing that I wanted to talk about is just volunteering.
Yeah.
And if you're at the point where, you've been doing this a year or two and you really are enjoying it and you've really gotten a lot out of it, and you're thinking about, hey, maybe this is the time to give back, because it is a volunteer sport and we know that, and just to give sort of a sense of what you might get out of it or what I get out of it, just the pride in putting together something that a lot of people get enjoyment out of and keeping things going. Matches will go on forever as long as they have help. If not, they're going to die.
Oh yeah.
I get the experience of building a match, being around a great group of guys. I get to see the best shooters shoot. I get to shoot the match for free. Becoming part of a community. Uh, you have input into what happens at the match and what the stages look like a lot of the time. It's a lot of fun. You don't have to pick them all. You could pick one, and for me and for John, that's KCON. And just as a side note, you also don't have to formally volunteer. Volunteering can mean different things. Number one, you best be volunteering to reset targets. That's number one.
You just
That
best be
has to happen.
resetting.
But you also can take someone under your wing. If you see someone on your squad that looks a little separated from other people, see if it's their first match and help them out. Make them feel welcome.
Definitely.
That's a big part of what we do.
That's
We want to make
huge.
people feel welcome at the matches that we shoot. The disadvantages to volunteering to be an RO, and I disadvantage maybe isn't the right or I don't exactly know how to phrase that, but you have to be there a day early typically, and you're working that whole day, and you're going to be working the whole match even though you're shooting. And it's very difficult to be competitive if you're a volunteer or if you're an RO. You've got a whole extra day to 2 days of physical labor. You're actually running shooters rather than visualizing and memorizing a stage. You're running the shooters. You don't have the space to do that. So it's very, very difficult to be competitive if you volunteer an RO, and that might be okay. That might not be okay. You might want to, or it might be okay at some matches, but not others.
I honestly didn't even think of that as far as volunteering. Like, yeah, it's cool. You can be the RO, but like you're talking about, you're working a lot more. And I'm like, yeah, I suppose. But the whole running with every shooter that goes through that stage, I
That's right.
totally didn't even consider that. And then after you just said that, I was like, holy shit, I didn't even think of that. Like, yeah, you're not running that stage once that day. Like as if you were just a competitor, you're shooting that thing like 100 times. If there's that many shooters going through the stage that day, that's insane. That didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
I RO'd a stage where you had to run about it was probably about 100 yards and following closely behind the shooter as they were coming up and then walking back. And I had my watch tracking me the entire time. And over the course of the 3 days, shooting all the stages and then ROing that stage for 2 days for about 200 shooters, I did about 32 miles. So it just goes back to Moishe, your point about, hey, you need to make sure that you're in shape to walk 5 to 10 because you're just going to be not ignore the running. You're just going to be walking a lot, and you got to haul your crap, and it can be taxing.
Yep.
Stretch them hammies.
No question.
One thing that you do have on your list that I want to get back to was you called out structured dry fire, and then in the comments you said you don't and won't do this. Why? Number one, let's lay out what structured dry fire is, and then why your ardent refusal to participate in it.
Yeah.
Ardent refusal.
So I made a joke about this when because I made A class in USPSA this year, and it took me whatever it took me. I probably shot USPSA. We'll call it 4 years, three to 4 years, and it took me that amount of time to make A class. So I can give you that plan of how to do it in 3 to 4 years, or you could just dry fire for 10 minutes a day and do it in your first season. Dry fire is actually that effective. And especially for people, if you're on a budget and aren't able to spend a ton on ammo, the guys who are really good at this, they do almost everything in dry fire. A lot of the guys, all they do when they go in live fire is double drill. And that's all they're doing, is just confirming what it means, because that's the only thing that that's really the only thing that you can't get in dry fire is the actual recoil. And double drill is all about the recoil. So these guys will just dry fire all the time and then go to the range and run doubles drills for hundreds around or whatever. Everything else you can do without ammo. The reason I don't do it, and I won't do it for the most part, is because I think it's fucking boring and I hate it. And if I'm going to do things that are boring, that's a quick exit for me out of doing something. And as you see, the typical turnover for a practical shooter in this sport is about 3 years. The sport turns over every 3 years. And I think part of that is because, people get really good, and then, it's sort of where do you go from there? For me, two things: I'd rather have a slow burn to get to where I'm going. I like to get pretty good at first, and then that's number one. But I don't know. I feel like something has to be exploding in my hand in order for me to have fun. So it's just not for me. It's not for me. And I'll never, and that's one of the reasons I will never be truly great at this. I'm not advocating for it. I'm advocating against it. But for me, and it's always been more interesting to me to be good at things rather than to be truly great at things. It just seems to me when it gets to the point where it's going to take me 10,000 hours to get 1% better, I lose interest. So part of it is just delaying that, but also sort of mixing it up. So, I've been shooting competitively now for 5 years, and I've done USPSA pistol, I've done PCC, I shoot AK matches, I 3-gun, 2-gun, rifle, precision rifle. Now I'm doing precision 22 rifle. So I'm sort of mixing it up, and I come back to, all of the other things. I just, after making A class for PCC, I'm going to go back and see if I can do it with carry optics or a limited optics gun. And it'll take me a season to do it. That won't be a problem for me to achieve that. But that, I think that's probably what I'm going to be doing next year. So
Excellent.
Always pushing yourself.
Well, I know, Jamie, you've got to run here in a second, but a little bit of bonus content. Y'all want to break down a stage before we
Whatever,
kick
dude.
this
Let's
off
do
here?
it.
So this is one of the stages that I'm shooting tomorrow, and yes, it is going to be in paint, and this is going to be for our viewing audience only. But I think this is, and I can make it a little
what
bit
is that,
bigger.
Legos?
We'll go from here. So this was just the match book that gets put out before this USPSA match. So they actually have kind of a 3D diagram for a lot of their, because USPSA has their qualifier stages, which I believe are standard across the board. And then there are other ones that are out there that I think they leave up to some clubs' discretion. So I think this is one of those where they have it laid out in a 3D design. But yeah, Moishe, since you're the guest, I guess, where would you start if it's the day before the match? We've got kind of this 3D animation. What are you looking for? Are we counting targets first, or are we trying to approach it a different direction?
are you going to shoot a pistol?
I am, yes.
All right. So how many hits are there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25, about 25, 26. Okay, so we're going to want to think about the reload at some point, and maybe we'll find the natural place in our movement where we're actually going to reload somewhere after we've shot at least 10 rounds. Let's say if we're, shooting any divisions. Do you know what the start position is?
The start position is going to be where this dummy is right here.
Dead center.
Yep.
Okay, so if I'm going to be drawing my pistol, I'm not going to be standing still when I'm drawing my pistol. Okay, so probably for me as a right-handed shooter, my knees are going to be bent. I'm going to be facing the left direction. My hands are going to be down on my side, and as soon as the timer goes off, I'm drawing that gun and running left at the same time, taking care of the targets on the left. And then I'm going to run all the way to the right. And I'm going to shoot those targets on the right.
So
Um,
when we say the targets on the right, are we talking about in between kind of the furthest shooting position forward here, or just this target over here?
just that target
Okay.
and the steel. Look at the steel in
Let's
the
say the
back.
popper down there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
I
popper
didn't
is
even notice that.
probably that's probably the only position you can shoot that popper from.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. So now I've shot 2, 3, 5, 6. I've shot about 6 rounds. Okay. So now I can reload, and I can
Mhm.
I can reload safely. So now from there, I'm going to move. As I'm moving, there's my reload. My reload is during that movement, and hopefully before you get to that part right there, the reload is actually going to take place behind the fence. Yeah, right there. Right
In
about
here.
there is the
Okay.
reload. And I can see that I'm naturally coming into the targets on that left. So
Mhm.
as soon as my reload happens, I'm going to be engaging those left-hand targets there. All 3 of those. I'm going to engage the targets on the right, the head box on the right, that target. And
Any
by the way,
concerns about a
there are
180 trap there?
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
No, not for me. But I can tell you, so far, almost every single target, I am not moving while I'm shooting.
Mhm.
There's enough difficulty there that there isn't a lot for me. Now, someone who shoots a little bit better than me may take some of these moving, but I would be concerned about shooting. We've got partial targets, we've got no shoots, we've
Yeah.
got mini poppers at distance. All of these targets, I'm not going to be moving while I'm shooting. That exception comes as soon as I'm done with the head box on the right. The rest of the targets can be shot moving. So those guys I'm going to take while I'm moving up to the forward position,
Mhm.
and the rest of the targets I can shoot while I'm not moving. And now that I look at it, probably that target just to the left, I might
This guy
take
here.
from this position, yeah, rather than back there. I have to come to that position anyway. I'm there. I just changed my stage plan. I'm probably going to shoot that target from the front.
So realistically, when we're breaking it down, we have shooting position here on the far left, a shooting position here on the far right. We've got a shooting position here that is right through kind of this, I'll call it a doorway, where we're taking 1, 2 targets. I'm assuming that, and again, this is a 3D, Lego diagram here, so subject to change. But I would assume that I can just turn from this shooting position here, shooting position 3, we'll call it, and I can engage this head box here. And then as I'm moving up, we have 2 targets that we can engage while moving, and then we have our final shooting position 4 up here where we can engage all other targets that are presented directly in front of us.
It's about how I seen it all laid out.
That seems about right. The only thing that I might change is right where your cursor is right now, those 2
Hmm.
targets there. When you're going from those targets to the targets that are forward,
Hmm.
I might be engaging some of the forward targets on the move while I move into that position also.
Nice.
And then the last thing is that once you've got boots on the ground and you're actually looking at this stage, it wouldn't surprise me if your stage plan completely changes.
Hmm.
And match directors will change things at the last minute, but even if nothing is changed, once you look at it and you're on the ground, you might decide that your plan is not going to work for you.
Yep.
So this is not it's not like I'd be memorizing things before I get to the match. I might have an idea, and I also might know that looking at the match book, I might know, hey, I gotta make sure that I get a really good visual on where these poppers are and where these poppers can get shot from, and that might be a note that I make. But I also might know these are the stages that I really need to spend. I need to get there a little bit early and look at these particular stages. Yeah.
Good layout.
Well, hey, thanks for running through that. I'm always curious, to see what some approaches are, and even though it's probably going to look way different tomorrow, especially in the sunlight. um and surprisingly enough, as I look through the matchbook, this is one of the simpler stages, meaning that there's some where you have poppers that fall, and then you have swinging targets. You've got some that are at a longer distance. So no, I think that's great, and I don't know. We'll see how I do tomorrow.
I'm wishing
Very
you the
cool.
best, Paul.
Thank you.
Moishe, is there any other clips or tips or anything you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I was thinking about was if we want to show people what some of the feels of some of the different AK matches are, I can show a couple videos.
Let's do it.
The screen is yours, good sir.
Okay, this is
I know where this is.
Mitten State Mayhem. I think I'm going to mute it every time that we look at it. So start here. You got to engage these steel targets out here. Just going to pass forward. You got to run, get in a vehicle. Nice painter tape I have there on my buttstock.
Right, whatever works, dude.
Yeah. And then engage all these targets in a circle. It's pretty cool. It's a nice 270-degree bay here. And then again, I'm working to manage my reload. So my reload is happening now. It's already happened. And then I'm going to try. This is great. I'm going to try not to fall.
I've seen you took a little couple stutter steps there, like you were leaning forward a little too much.
It is unbelievable how many times my feet, like I think that I'm faster than I am. It's really like I think I'm just and I either don't have the balance for it or something. But yeah, so this is sort of, I think this is a good stage for what Mitten State Mayhem feels like. That last target's pretty spicy. You got to step on something, and then once you step on
instantly,
you can see in the background there, the no shoot pops down just for a split second, and you've got so little time to shoot at that. So that's Mitten State Mayhem. Great match.
I love reactive targets. I love anything that moves or anything that has, that's, oh, look at Moishe's all tied up here. You guys really got to be watching this on video if you want to see, get the full grasp of this.
Carolina Kalash Classic. This was a great match. Starting, you've got a hood over your head and your hands are zip tied. So when the timer goes off, you got to break the zip tie. You got to clear yourself, and then you got to run, get your ammo from the box, get your gun, move up these steps. And then you've got to shoot at all these targets out the window. But I think that's a pretty good example. Carolina Kalash, one of the nice things there, he really set it up with a lot of steel. There was very, very little reset in that match. I think we shot 10 stages in one day.
Damn.
And you can just do that if you manage squad sizes and you have as little reset as possible. So I mean, that was cool. That was pretty neat to do that.
I love little reset and steel targets. But I'm sure everybody agrees with me on that one.
Thunder, I thought this was a great Thunder stage, and this is cool because you're going to see, I'm going to show you guys this twice. You're going to see how I do it, and then you're going to see how someone who's actually good does it. This is like decent shooter shooting it. And as soon as I'm done, I'm moving. You also might notice, look, I skipped ahead. I skipped all of these targets over here, right? match director may have intended that these are the next ones that get shot, but that's not for the stage for running the stage the quickest. That doesn't make sense. Now I'm shooting those guys as I'm retreating and moving on with the rest of the stage.
Nice.
And then someone who's actually good, Jay Carrillo or Carrillo, looks like a freaking ballerina when he shoots this stage. I mean, watch how it's just like a dance. Like when you watch someone who can really shoot and who really knows how to shoot, I mean, it looks like they're freaking dancing. I mean, it's like, look, it's just like beautiful choreography. Even just that, like his little, like the way he lifted his leg and he's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, okay, so this is how you should shoot it. But, unbelievable. And I think I got third place in this match. I think he was second. But
There's
by
very little time between his feet moving and not moving.
KCON, our favorite match, and this is at the old facility. This is John shooting this stage. It was, I think, with wind chill about -18 for this match.
Oh, dude.
It was cold. It was very cold. A lot of dragging. And again, this is one of the only 2-gun matches per AK. This might be the only 2-gun AK match.
It's the only one I shoot, and I love it.
Yeah, but just really fun stages that have you doing a lot of things. You can see he had to retain his mags. That's sort of unique to KCON.
Yeah.
Not everyone's the biggest fan of that. I'm not. I don't like to retain mags, but that's not my thing. But you got to run through the van
in the battlefield.
You got to shoot out the door. Then you got to come and you got to engage more targets through the door. And those targets are all between 75 to, I think, 100 yards. Clear your rifle, climb to the top of the van, and then re-engage targets from the top of the van.
Yeah.
So that's KCON. Unbelievable.
Retaining mags really helps with reset, just because there's some times where it's like, okay, that's one less thing that we have to go around and look for.
Yep.
And somebody walking down there too.
AK Masters, the great stage, unbelievable. Look at this bay. Like, I mean, how cool would it be to have a bay like this? At whatever club that you shoot at, you're going to see how it opens up once we get down there.
Was that this year?
You're starting out and you're almost shooting down a trench.
Yeah. Was that this year or last? When was this?
That was this year.
Yeah.
So AK Masters, that is the most competitive of all the AK matches that I've shot. One thing that you'll notice here, you can barely see it, but that target is actually, the top is white and the bottom is yellow. They had designated targets for PCC. So if you were shooting PCC, so it shared some targets, but some targets were not as far, and that made it a whole heck of a lot more interesting for a PCC shooter. But great match. I'll just show you one other fun thing from AK Masters, which is this here. You start out, you're shooting a stage gun, which is a PSA 7.62 gun. So you're shooting that. You shoot at 3 different targets, stow the weapon, down the tube. Okay, now get ready to laugh at my footwork here. You ready?
Well, I just want to, before we get to that was an athletic tube slide. Like that was,
right?
It's
grab, the
good.
swing.
Like,
that was a very smooth entrance.
There's no question. I'm great to this point, and maybe the best on my squad. But wait for it.
Hey, you recovered quickly. That's all that matters.
Yeah. But it's like, I think that I'm on. It's like somehow I forgot that I'm on gravel.
With the speed that you went through that tube, that fall meant nothing as far as time goes.
Yeah.
What is the bag on your gun part of the stage?
No, that's my own thing.
I see.
On that little bag rest.
Yeah, so that bag I will put on my gun for a stage like this, where I've got a few things that I'm going to be bracing off of. it's great. It's great for that. They had, some of their jungle run stuff. This is John here. Unbelievable
So
jungle run.
at the start of this video, if you could scrub it back, one thing that I think fantastic here, he is ready.
Yeah.
He's ready.
So you're
Yep.
starting magazine in, bolt forward, no round in the chamber. But
Yep.
he is primed to, hey, he's at a low ready, but the
Yeah.
first action that he's taking is to charge the rifle and then explode out of the start there.
That
That's
thing's
right.
that thing's
That's smart.
fully racked and loaded before that beep is done, I feel, in this
Mhm.
video.
Yep. Let's see if he does it. Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice. I'm excited to go to Masters this year.
It's a great match. I really,
looks like a
really
blast.
enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought the stages were great. It's not quite what KCON is, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think
KCON's
some
more
of
of a
some of the difficulty at KCON. I mean, KCON is the toughest match. There's
Yeah.
no
Mhm.
question, and I really do like that. And it was crazy. That bridge was wet. It was slippery. I mean, you saw John slip on the mud there. I mean, it was
I heard all about
crazy how
that bridge.
slippery this is. And then it's engaging all these targets out there. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Did we? Yeah, we watched Jay already. We saw Jay shoot. This was an example. I just wanted to show this as an example of, okay, so match director, this was a 3-gun match, I believe. This was a pistol only stage, but again, I mean, look at how ready I
Things are
am.
hunched and ready, dude.
I'm ready, and as soon as that timer goes, I'm fucking gone.
Gone.
Okay, and hopefully, and we'll see if that's actually true. But also look at what the match director shot or set up as an intention for us to shoot from, and how I actually shoot the stage. So he's like, okay, go here first. I'm like, fuck that, I'm skipping it. And I go right to the middle, and I'm like, because I already walked the stage and I can tell I can shoot every single one of those targets from the middle, and
Yeah.
I don't have to build 3 different positions and run to 3 different spots. Everything can get shot from this one place. Everything.
Yeah.
So, it's like finding
Situational
stuff
awareness.
like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's we already saw this KCON one here. Yeah, I think that's it. Here's when I made A class. This is the USPSA.
Look at him just dropping the poppers.
Damn.
I love it.
That might have been a master class run. That was probably close to a master class run, which helped me get to A class. Yeah, I think what are we at? We're at 2 hours, man.
Yeah.
That's it. We're done. We don't have any more time.
You know what? No, there's always time for Moishe. Yes, we kind of discussed everything that was in the notes, but it's like you're a plethora of knowledge. You have very great tips and tricks to share with people who are looking into getting this or are already into this. And I don't think any piece of advice you've given can be dismissed, I should say. Everything I take very wholeheartedly, and I definitely going to be using some of the things we've discussed, especially the mental preparedness, the walking down the stage a little bit better, making sure that you actually are ready before you say, yeah, I'm ready, hit the buzzer. There's just a lot of little things that'll add up to definitely probably having a better stage. And there's just, thank you very much for, taking the time out of your day twice now, just to give us
Dude, I'm happy
a
to
little
do it.
peek into your head.
Yeah, I'm super happy. I think I somehow I was supposed to be a teacher or coach in some other life. So anytime I get to like talk about stuff and feel
Yeah.
like I'm helping it's
should
it's
just,
good for me. It's good for my
You should
soul.
start teaching competitive shooting. Like in a year, if me and Paul are still doing this podcast, I'll be like, have you guys looked up moisheshooting.com? People show you what to do, you know.
Yeah. I don't know about
But-
that. I don't know if I'll ever be at that level that I can do it. But I could
mean, I
take
learned
I could take
something.
a D or a C class shooter and help them be a B or an A. You know, I
Hey,
could do
D's
that.
passing. That's what I'd be happy
Yeah.
to be at.
Mhm.
But I hate to end this because I mean we could talk all day if we really wanted to, but I have things to do, and like I said, you're always welcome back. If you ever feel like there's something you want to discuss, if we go to a match and there's something you want to talk about, if there's anything, just let me know. We're more than happy
Right.
to have you back on. I
You guys
appreciate
gonna
you.
make
Like
it
I
to
said,
Winter Cake on?
I'm being forced to, apparently, I guess.
Well,
I
Yeah,
don't
you
know.
gotta.
Yeah, you gotta.
I will definitely be there. I am really looking forward to it this year. Lead Farm is the new range that it's at, and I'm very curious to see what stages are going to be happening at Winter this year.
I'm
I
excited.
think it's going to be fun. I hope it's wickedly cold. I hope that
know,
there's
what the
snow.
fuck?
Yeah,
I don't, dude. I don't care
'cause
if
then
it's
people
cold. It's the snow pisses me off. I hate running through snow. That is the absolute fucking worst.
I'm the exact opposite. If it's cold, it better be snowing. Otherwise,
Get
what
the
are we
hell
doing
outta
this
here.
for?
Forget about it, dude. I hate the snow with a passion.
Well, thanks again, Moishe. Always a pleasure to talk to you on this end of the podcast as well.
Oh yeah, the pleasure's all on this side of the webcam. Believe me.
Good chatting, guys.
But ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're listening, so you know this is the Shooter Are You Ready podcast with our special guest Moishe. Please give a thumbs up, a like, a share, comment, all that fun stuff. And yeah, if you're listening, this is also available on YouTube. Check it out, the Shooter Are You Ready channel, and you can find links to it. I'll probably have links to it in the description if you're listening on Spotify, or follow me on Instagram because I talk about it a lot. But thanks for listening. I appreciate all of you. I very much appreciate you, Moishe, for taking the time out of your day. Again, repeating myself, but it's been great. And please come back if you ever want to. More than happy. But the rest of you gentlemen have a fine day. I have to get the hell out of here because I have more things to do. And I wish you the best.
All right,
So,
guys.
Thank you
See ya.
guys. Mwah, mwah.
ya.
See you guys later.
Shooter ready?
Yep.
Shooter ready? Stand by. Shooter ready. Stand by.
Shooter, are you ready? Stand by.
Shooter ready.
Stand by.